Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I want to try and tackle what I believe to be the best counter against Raiden. Now, it has gotten nerfed recently and I haven't seen it as much, but if you still struggle with it, then definitely stick around because I think this is quite a replicatable strategy. Now, looking at the packs here, I have a bunch of very good ones. I can't really complain, but I decided to go for the Rhino spec here with the crawlers and the storm callers. But all of them, honestly, I think were pickable. For my opponent, it's going to be Sabertooth with the Fangs, a very powerful opener, but not the best necessarily into my Stormcallers. I think he can definitely play into this, but it'll take maybe a round or two for him to stabilize. Fangs and Sabertooth are both quite slow, so it'll at least mean that my Stormcallers should hit quite easily. Let me try and move myself over to my usual spot. There we go. Now, opponent is a speed specialist, and because of that, you can see me that I immediately move my Stormcallers from the outsides to the insides because I'm thinking to myself, well, he's probably going to be pushing me, isn't he? I think that's the better call for him as well, even if he wasn't speed specialist. Playing standard Sabertooth into Stormcallers I don't think is the best, so I think it's a good decision that he made. And yeah, because of that, we put the Stormcallers on the inside. That way, both of them will be able to join the fight and would be isolated on the outside, no matter where on the board he is. Looks like it's going to be an asymmetrical push on the right side. I decided to pick up two Arclights, sorry. The Crawlers are in the standard positions behind the towers and one in the middle. And yeah, that way we can see how this round is going to go. Opponent picks up two Arclights, one in front of the left tower, which I think is probably a bit of a mistake. But we can see how this round will develop. I think if you have the Fang here in the middle, there's no real need to put this Arclight defensively, since he will likely be pulling my units towards his board anyway. So it's better to try and pair up both of his Sabers with their own Arclight friend, so that they don't get into this situation. You can see that the Arclight happened to die because of some Stormcaller shots, and then because of that, the Sabers are now getting stuck on the Crawlers. And so yeah, first round here, quite successful for me. Stormcallers usually do quite well into most packs. And yeah, we're starting to chip away at our opponents already. Round number 2, Underground Threat shows up, almost always a must pick. Especially if you are defending, it is so powerful against an aggro player and hard for them to deal with. So I like picking it up. It's a short cooldown as well, low cost, so much value to be had with this during the entire game. Opponent picks it up too. We'll have to see where he decides to put that. Shield out drop is an idea, but with double Sabertooth, I think he has plenty of damage to kill that, so I didn't really want to pick it up. And yeah, we use the Underground Threat there offensively and try and speed up the round a little bit. Obviously, I need to reinforce the right side somewhat. And for now, that's probably going to mean more chaff clear, because I'm expecting my opponent to buy things like the Crawlers to try and distract the Stormcallers a bit more. He had the Fangs as a starter, but those are not fantastic against my board. So yeah, the Crawlers make a lot of sense. And you will see me pick up a Fang, an Arclight, and another Arclight. And the way that I'm positioning them is to deal with this Fang pack, and that Fang pack as well. And then obviously wherever the Crawlers may be. This type of flank is quite common too from aggro players. So that's why I often have an Arclight early on the outside to be able to deal with these Crawlers that are spawning in. Underground gets used defensively. You'll probably be okay and not get debuffed. But the nice thing is that I am pulling back quite a lot of his Crawlers, a Crawler pack as well, and so that means less chaff coming in from the main fight, whereas all of my units here are working together still and haven't been split off. Arclight to the side is still not doing great, but yeah, we can see round 2 here is quite successful for me as well. And so far it's just smooth sailing, right? I don't have too many problems to deal with, and that's quite nice on the defense. No nasty surprises, which means that if something does catch me off guard, I'll at least have the hit points and the rounds to try and stabilize. You can speed things up a little bit. Arclight there will die, and so round 2 is ours as well. Now round number 3, and we get unit reinforcements. Double Fire Badger, Scorpion Sledgehammer, or Phantom Ray are the options here. I don't really need Phantom Ray. Also, Scorpion here looks a bit scary, and I think both of us could justify picking it up. But neither of us really has sufficient anti-air, and so Phantom Ray to me looked the best. Again, Fire Badger, not necessary. I already have Arclights for my Chaff Clear, and Sledgehammer, yeah, it doesn't really do too much. And again, the main thing is really trying to counter the potential Phantom Ray without having to buy any units to counter the air myself. Both of us do pick it up. I decide to put it on the outside here to be able to, 1, deal with the flank, and 2, kind of join the fight and start working away at these sabers. My opponent, though, puts it on my left flank. So we'll have to see how this engagement goes eventually. Opponent ranges the arc lights, and so do I. I think this is one of the most common tech upgrades in the current meta, is a range on the arc lights on turn 3. They are very powerful, so it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, we'll have to see how this goes. I decided to upgrade a crawler there and put another crawler in my backline. I've also added a arc light all the way in the deep flank on the right because of these vertical crawlers from my opponent. And this means that they will get pulled. Now, opponent adds crawlers on the flank, so this arc light sadly will die, but at least it will be there next turn to annoy these crawlers. And what this is doing is stalling, right, the chaff from my opponent. So it should give me an easier time locking onto his important targets. Hopefully we can kill them. If you could kill the Sabertooth before debuff, it would be great, but not quite. Stormcallers? Okay, they will just about get there. Sadly, though, these level 2 crawlers are kind of getting farmed by this Arclight during the debuff. Arclight on the right does recover in time to kill the crawlers, hopefully. I still have my Phantom Rays alive, but the question will be, can we kill these Phantoms from the opponents? Will the engagement be in our favor? And with this split, I'm inching towards no. Yeah, this doesn't look too good for us. Debuff there. We probably lose 2 Phantoms. Yeah, we do. The other one will get the debuff, but I'd be really surprised if it wins the 1v3. Yeah, it gets rid of just the 1 there. And so my opponent does get the level up. Speaking of level ups, Enhancement module shows up this turn. Laser sight available as well. The other 2 cards not too impactful, I would say. Opponent picks up the Enhancement module, makes sense. Uses it to sell out of the Phantoms they had and gets 100 resources extra from that effect as well. And for me, what I was looking into, or what I was planning to play here, is Fortresses. Because looking at this board, I thought he's kind of weak to Shielded Fangs, and Fortresses can contest Sabers somewhat, especially if they have the protection from the Fangs. So I kind of just want to get Fortresses on the board and see how it goes. But we kind of wait still. I level up my Stormcaller here with the Enhancement module. But I did pick it up, meaning to buy Giants later on. Opponent picks up their first air unit there, the Raiden, aside from the Phantoms they had. And for now, I'm kind of biding my time. I'm okay here saving some money. Just buying another Fang to defend the flank. Putting another Crawler down over here to try and bait the missile. And then also have the Phantoms run in and hopefully kill this tower. And yeah, opponent buys another pack of Phantom Rays, which is kind of surprising. Raiden there will deal with the arc lights, but before that it will at least almost take down a pack of crawlers. Yeah, sadly the missile there doesn't quite go onto my crawlers, but the Phantoms do split off, so maybe they will go to tower. We'll have to see. Doesn't quite seem to be the case, sadly. Now, the best case for me on the right side would be if this Raiden somehow doesn't farm my high-level Phantoms, because if it does, I think it will level instantly. And I don't want that to happen, considering that my opponent picked up the Enhancement module as well. Luckily, though, we come out ahead, and that's a great round for us. And now I know Raiden is there, and so I know that the fortress plan that I had in mind is even better. Round number 5, and now I want to buy my fortresses. Now, to buy 2 fortresses, I need at least 1,000 resources, but ideally I'd also have enough to buy the first tech, which is going to be Fang Spawn. Now, Fang Spawn costs 300, so I need 1,300 resources at least on the board. And so here I was doing the math in my head, like, okay, maybe I want Barrier, because I don't think I'll be clicking Barrier as a tech very soon on the fortresses. So I kind of like the tempo that it gives me, but will I have enough selling this? If I sell the Stormcaller, I will get 300 resources, which will put me at 1450, which means that I have enough to get the Barrier as well, and it still leaves me 1350. The nice thing is my Phantom's leveled, so we can transition the item from the Stormcallers onto the Phantoms as well, and planning to sell them next turn. And yeah, here we go, double fortress, and then we also have enough money still to be able to buy the Fang production. Fang production is a super good tech if you try to just spam fortresses. You don't even really need levels on the fortresses, you just need numbers. Because more numbers, more fortresses means more Fangs, and Shielded Fang is fantastic against both Raiden and Arclight and Sabretooth. I mean, the list goes on. And the idea here is not for the Fangs to kill the Raidens, by the way. The idea is to get anti-air barrage second, because if you have a lot of fortresses, it actually is enough to take these guys down. Now, it's a bit risky, obviously, here with the Phantom Ray. I was hoping I would have enough, or that somehow they would survive just like they did last round, so that they could kill the Raidens, but I was not expecting another 2 Raidens to hit the board, as well as ranged tech this turn, and yeah, they're not having a great time. And now we can look at the experience there, and the Raidens are getting awfully close. I think they will be able to kill these fortresses. And yeah, that does not look good at all. Raiden here very close to leveling up, and the other one's not too far away either. And that means he will have something to transfer the enhancement module onto and get that free level. And yeah, first Raiden levels up, but the second one might get close as well. It does, so that's 2 Raidens leveling up. Lots of resources available through the item. Round number 6, we get more unit reinforcements, and here immediately I think, you know, Marksman looks just fine. Let's pick that up. It's always a nice addition. If I need to, I can always buy anti-air on them, and they can kind of support my main composition of the fortresses. For my opponent, it's a little bit awkward. I think Sandworm isn't the worst for them. They could try and run that into my tower. That's probably about it. Phoenixes will likely get anti-air barraged and get stuck on the Fangs, and the same thing with the Wraith. Although Wraith might be good as a tank against anti-air barrage, but you have to imagine that I will be picking up those marksmen. So I understand this decision to pick up the Sandworm. Underground is available yet again. I decided to pick up Impact Drill on my crawlers to try and make sure that I win out on the duel, and hopefully I can then get a debuff. It's also really cheap tech, so it's 100 cheaper than Replicate. Doesn't cost too many resources, but it does give me that little bit of an edge. Now for me, I did sell out of my Phantoms. The awkward bit is that I have nothing to level up, so we're just gonna have to leave this on the bench for now. Phantoms here, I am just leaving because I can't sell them. So yeah, we're just gonna have to be happy with what we have. I decided to pick up the second tech. The anti-air barrage comes out, 2 more fortresses, and yeah, I mean, here she goes. My opponent's already teched their Raidens, so I'm pretty confident in clicking anti-air barrage, since if they want to sell out of all their Raidens, then, you know, they still did waste a tech on it, and they also did have to unlock and pay for that unlock. They go for Melter, however, and instantly range that, trying to make sure that they can kill these fortresses, not really trusting the Raidens. And look at these Raidens. One of them getting distracted there by the underground. It doesn't quite get me a debuff, but I'm still pretty happy with that distraction. And now you can see this Fortress AA going to town. First Raiden falls. The other one is slightly tankier, as it is level 2. But yeah, second batch of Fang spawns, and you can see this Melter is just struggling so much, and that's often what happens with this comp. It's really hard to make the Melters lock on. That's a really good round, And we send our opponent down to 650 hit points. Now round number 7. We get Vulcan's Descent. Another underground threat is available. The other 2 cards, not the best, I think. Maybe I could deployment module if I really wanted to, but I already have an enhancement module, so yeah, I don't think it's that great. Probably just take the underground as the cheap threat. My opponent goes for the Vulcan though. I'm a bit surprised about this because this tower is leveled. So yeah, 23,000 hit points will still take quite some time for the Vulcan, and there isn't too much on the left side, so I would imagine we can deal with this Sandworm. And just in case, I add 2 more fortresses on the left, because I'm pretty confident about how the right side was going when I was seeing last turn, and I get another power spike as I have enough money to get Shielded Fangs as well. And my opponent still doesn't have the best chaff clear, apart from these 3 Arclights, to be able to deal with Shielded Fangs. Now, they on the other hand buy another Melter. They also add a Crawler, trying to move into this tower again, adding 2 missiles to kill this Phantom Ray, which will be enough. But we'll have to see if this underground might be more successful this time. I still have that impact drill, and there is no underground available for my opponent this time. Arclights on the flank, also still in a good spot. Fangs here were added last turn to try and make sure that this Arclight wasn't bothered too much by the Crawlers. They are level 2 though, so this probably will lose. Yeah, Vulcan here does drop. And you can see the Arclight sadly did die, but the Impact Drill Crawlers are winning out against their counterparts. And you can see the Vulcan, while it killed some of my chaff, the tower is not exactly going down very quickly. Marksman turns his attention to the Vulcan finally, with the help of an Arclight. I think they'll be just fine. Right side looks fantastic. Anti-air is doing its job. The Shielded Fangs are causing problems everywhere. And yeah, that will simply be all she wrote. This is a very powerful comp, I think. If you can get your hands onto some early fortresses, I would recommend you try this out. It works against quite a lot of aggro comps. Almost anything except, like, let's say maybe if your opponent has a lot of Mustangs, then maybe refrain from it. But most aggro comps will struggle dealing with this. The techs that I'm running are going to be range. This is something that you'll want to click eventually against melters if you go for this build. Fang production, obviously, this will often be your first tech. Anti-air if you are trying to kill things like Wasps, Phoenix, or Raiden, the new giant flying unit. And barrier, because you can play this on aggro as well, but not having barrier makes you very vulnerable to things like fire and oil, so I still like to run it. But usually speaking, it'll be Fang production into something like range, or Fang production into anti-air if you're facing Raidens, and then you can always try and get barrier whenever you feel like you have the money, or you just think that you need it because of a potential spell. Either way, if you liked this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this comp. Are you struggling with Raiden since the nerf, or do you think that it's in a good spot and it doesn't give you too much trouble anymore? Let us know. If you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. Check me out on Twitch if you want to see me play live. And with that being said, have a lovely rest of your day. Take care and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.